Carchon wasn't the type for messing about on the river. He was up to something down here. Something that got him killed. The Conciergerie. Former royal palace, prison and law courts. And also home to the busiest guillotine in the French Revolution. I wasn't leaving yet. I had a hunch there was more to find. An old boyfriend of mine owned a barge once. Dampest relationship I ever had. In every way. It was the old boathouse for the Conciergerie. If I was right about the meaning of subjudice, then the answer had to lie somewhere here on the quayside. This fence was a permanent fixture. The fence wouldn't move. This fence wouldn't move either. The cross looked familiar. I'd seen it before. It was embroidered on the lace cloth I'd picked up at Carchon's apartment. I knew I was on the right track. The cloth was embroidered with an unusual symbol. I tried pushing the fence, but it wouldn't move. A strange pair of locks stopped the latches from releasing the gate. One down, one to go. Nothing like a good convent education for honing your lockpicking skills. For a room full of junk, that was one very sophisticated lock system. This place was definitely fishy, in more ways than one. It was almost as if the fence was intended to double as a bridge. I really didn't want to pull the fence back up and risk trapping myself in this place. The skiff hadn't been touched for years. I've got an exercise bag just like that. Oops. Moving the skiff would only damage it more. I'd wrecked the skiff. Not that it was particularly seaworthy anyway. It was an old shell case, probably from the 50s. I knew what I was talking about. I grew up watching war movies. An old shell case. I wondered what that was doing there. The brass case was smooth and perfectly round. So, a stone door. There had to be a mechanism to open it. No handle, nothing obvious. But there had to be a way to open it. A rough hole was cut into the pillar. The words "sinister" and "Dexter" were carved on either side. Now any good convent girl like me knows the old Roman for left, right, left, right. But what did it mean here? Nothing happened. Nothing happened. The hole was too small even for my little hand. I couldn't get my hand in. Mystery solved. Carchon's stone cylinder slotted into the hole with a satisfying click. Rolling out the painted cylinder had given me a print of a secret message. It read, "Sub Judice." Below it was a sequence of letters, S, D, S, S, D, S, S. A satisfying click told me I turned it to the right position. It felt like tumblers in a safe. Another click, another step closer. I love the sound of locks clicking open. Carchon's cylinder had fitted snugly into the hole. I removed the stone cylinder. I'd already unlocked the door. Ut lex vel ut next sumito. To the law or unto death, submit. I guess these people didn't believe in liberté, égalité, or fraternité. Yes, I'll admit it. I was a swot at school. I also wore lipstick and the nuns never knew. The cross looked familiar. I'd seen it before. The cloth was embroidered with an unusual symbol. Oh my God! The slab came down with a hell of a force. With nothing to hold it up, the cross dropped back down again. If I was going to get a closer look at the panel, I'd have to find a way of keeping the cross up. The panel was firmly closed. The panel wouldn't move. Lifting the cross closed the entrance door and also opened some kind of stone panel. Ingenious. The stone cross was propped up. Now I was getting somewhere. A round slot precisely carved into the stonework. I touched the slot Nothing bad happened, which was good. I've always been attached to my fingers. This slot was designed for something specific. But what? The artifact slotted into the hole perfectly. Behind the old walls, I could hear some kind of mechanism groaning into life, but whatever had been triggered had now jammed. A hidden door. This was getting interesting. Shame the mechanism jammed. I was going to have to find a way to prise it open. The gap was too thin for me to get a grip. I needed something thin enough to prise the door open. The cross was firmly propped up. I removed the shell case. The cross didn't drop back down. Some kind of mechanism was holding it up. While Cachon's stone cylinder was in the hole, the door back out remained closed. A brass shell case versus a stone slab contest. The stone slab had flattened one end of the shell case. The shell case had been flattened at one end, forming a serrated edge. I removed the shell case. Another good use for a shell case. Another secret room. Somebody had something to hide. But was it what I was looking for? Wow! Through the darkness, I could see that this was a stateroom. But for what purpose? And how did it tie in with Cachon? It was an old circuit breaker, like something from a Frankenstein movie. Amazing! The thing still worked. The room lit up bright as day. Turning the lights off wasn't going to help. That was more sensible. Lady Justice stared out from a stone door, which was locked and reinforced with steel bands. A door like that always has something important behind it. I had to find a way to unlock it. A slot next to the safe door. All I had to do was find something to fit into it. It was like being back in kindergarten. All I needed now was a shape that would fit the slot. That wasn't going to help. The desks were covered with a layer of dust. No one had worked here for years. I wasn't going to find anything in this old desk. It hadn't been used for years. The flags had faded, but their message was still pretty clear. Fascist regalia, a message of hate. It was pretty clear from the lack of dust that someone had been working very recently at this desk. The dregs at the bottom of the mug hadn't dried out or gone mouldy. It wasn't more than a day old. The congealed coffee wasn't appealing. Oh my God! The sheet was a printout with my personal information. Everything from my favorite food to my waist size. They were right about chocolate, but come on guys, I'm a size 10. There was even a picture of me, taken with a telephoto lens. Carchon wouldn't have taken these pictures himself. This was big. And organized. I was part of it. And people were getting murdered. This was the article I'd written about the costume killer. My suspicions were right. Carchon had cut it out. 2 businessmen had been killed. One in Italy, one in Japan. In each case the killer had worn a costume, a penguin, and then a snowman. But that wasn't the only link between the 2 murders. Both the victims had been big media do-gooders, and I proved they were just the opposite. So, how did they fit in with Carchon? My articles about the costume killer. One thing was clear. Someone connected to Carchon had been watching me. It was a drawer. I wondered what was inside. Inside the drawer, I found a note written in some kind of code. Here. Full report to follow. But this is too urgent to wait. Arno and Yamada both dead. This is not a coincidence. Indeed, it seems that all of us who came together in July are in danger. Take great care. X. I wasn't the only one to make the connection between the costume killer murders. I'd been right all along. That was why he had asked to meet me. But what did I know that he didn't? Damn, don't you just hate it when that happens? The drawer had come out easily enough, but wouldn't fit back into place. A photo, long lost, had fallen down the back of the drawer. It was very old, but there was no mistaking the guy in the foreground. Carchon. Behind him were soldiers, a burning village and a corpse. The photograph was cropped on the right-hand side. Somebody else in the picture obviously didn't want to be in it anymore. I wasn't surprised. This was Africa in the 60s. An uprising was being brutally suppressed. And here was Mr. Media himself, Carchon, doing the suppressing. The photograph was not just powerful evidence. It was also my ticket to one explosive story. I had enough for a story. An amazing story that was going to make my reputation and blow Carchon's to pieces. I needed to get home fast and start typing.
Bonsoir, Collard.
Nico, it's Ronnie.
Hey, Ronnie, you cracked open the champagne yet?
Are you crazy?
What's wrong? Wait a minute. You didn't print it, did you?
Of course I didn't print.
That's the best piece I've written.
The last, as far as I'm concerned.
It's important.
It's suicidal. You can't destroy a national hero.
He deserved it.
His corpse isn't even cold.
Ronnie, 2 hours ago I told you what I'd found. You loved it. You begged me to write it up immediately.
2 hours is a long time in newspapers, Nico.
Someone's got to you, haven't they?
Listen up, Nicole, and listen good. Pierre Carchon had a lot of friends. Powerful friends. For your own sake.
Forget what happened.
You got it. End of conversation. Good night.
This should have been my big break, but I knew there was nowhere else to sell this story. If Ronnie wouldn't print it, nobody would.
Bonsoir, Collard.
Mademoiselle Collard, my name is Plantard. I need to talk to you about your story. Your Pierre Carchon story.
How did you know about that?
There are people out there, madame, who will be very upset by this story.
Oh, really? Well, it's their lucky day. It's been spiked.
Yes, I know. We must meet.
We must?
I have information relating to your costume killer stories. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., Café de la Chandelle Verte, Rue Alain Court. I shall be wearing a grey overcoat. You must talk to no one about this.
You can't tell me what to...
Tomorrow at 8. I'll be waiting.
People complain about newspaper articles all the time, but not usually before they're printed. I was beginning to feel scared. This guy, Plantard. Could I trust him? Should I meet him or forget the whole business? I didn't have an answer.